Hello everyone, we are back with part 2 of running through the cars for Assetto Corsa Competizione, doing one lap at Paul Ricard in VR mode. And first up we are in the Aston Martin, the Vantage, which is obviously a new car to the final edition. Just having a quick look around the cockpit of the car, and yeah, just as you can see, it's reasonably nice layout, quite a large steering wheel as well. I found with this one, I found myself in the seating position was slightly a bit strange. Don't forget the fact that I'm slightly to the left. That's how sort of VR works. I found myself very low down, and I know you can adjust like the height of how you want your VR and everything like that, but when you sort of try to match up with the overalls, I found myself sitting a lot lower than a lot of the other cars. But anyway, so on to this lap, and with this car, I've actually found that certainly in Project Cars 2, I found the Aston Martin Vantage to be a bit of a handful, but during this lap, apart from going a tiny bit sideways in that corner, overall it handled really well. It's almost on par with the Lexus, really. That's how I kind of found it. I found some good grip in a lot of the corners. I didn't find it to be, oversteer or understeer or anything like that. It generally was a decent car to drive, and I'm quite amazed actually that I don't see more people driving this car in a lot of the multiplayer, to be honest. But yeah, overall I'd probably sort of put it on par with the Lexus. So coming up to the last couple of corners of the lap, and we're going to turn in here to the final corner. Just about keep it on the track, and we are going to go for a 1 minute, oh no sorry, a 2 minutes dead. 2 minutes dead on the Aston Martin. It's not the quickest at the moment, but it's not too bad. Now on to the Bentley Continental. This is the 2015 edition, which was released at the beginning during the beta phase of the game. So sort of driven this car quite a bit. It tended to be a bit of popular car at the beginning of the game. However, it sort of faded out really now, and certainly because this is the 2015 edition of the car. Why would you drive a 2015 edition of the car when you can have the 2018 edition of the car, which is later on in this video? Overall though, it actually the handling of the car is actually really nice, to be honest. It sticks to the road, it goes where it needs to go, and I'm amazed actually that overall a lot more people don't drive it. But it's probably just slightly lacking in top speed. I think that's the only reason. And out of the good-looking cars, it's probably not the best-looking car in the world. And I think maybe if you're British and you've got that sort of I want to drive a Bentley kind of sort of mindset, then maybe you will. But yeah, it's just it's alright. It's not too bad at all. I think people are just a bit sick of driving this car now, given, as I say, it was part of the game at the beginning. See, top speed wise, 272, it's a lot slower than others. The others were sort of topping, going into the 2.8s, 280 odd kilometres, so it is a bit down on top line speed as we come into sort of sector 2 of the track. So as you can see, I didn't really get any sideways moments. It just went where it needed to go, which is kind of what you want in a car to some extent. That was a 2 minutes 0.6, so a bit slower. Now again, Nissan GTR, this is the 2015 edition of the car. It's got some nice switches and controls down there, as you can see, into the passenger side. So it looks quite nice, looks like a proper race car inside. Some round steering wheel with the sort of Audi style straight edge at the bottom of the steering wheel. Yeah, 2015, sort of mentioned in games before, why on earth would you drive a 2015 Nissan GTR when you have the 2018 Nissan GTR available? Unless for some unknown reason that you've got a real love for the 2015 car, you're not really going to be driving this. But, you know, I'm here to test all the cars. All the Nissan GTRs stick to the track. There's not one that doesn't, and this one in particular is pretty much driving the same as the 2018 one, to be honest. You almost really wouldn't know a massive amount of difference. So we're going to get towards the end of the straight here. You can see the speedo, we're just topping 270. So what we're going to hit it as 277. So yeah, that's the speed of the 2015. So it's greater than the Bentley. But you see that just nicely turned in. There's no real, you can't see movements of the steering wheel. It's not, you know, it doesn't fight at all. So, final turn in. Cape off the curb there. Going to come across the line. Looks like we're going to be about 2 minutes something. 2 minutes and 1 second 0.03. So again, we're going a bit slower than the others, but for 2015 car, that's kind of what I expected. Right, Porsche 911 GT3 Cup. So these are, or this is sort of the back marker, so to speak, along with the Gallardo that race around at the back as part of their own championship. Where to start with this? It is a handful. It is really a handful. I was fighting. I fight the car all the time. The rear wants to step out. It's really bad on oversteer, and I have no intention of driving this car at all. I've gone slightly deep into this corner. You just see the constant movement of the steering wheel. This was my second lap, because my first lap I completely spun it in this part of the track. Just applied the throttle and the rear just went around. So I thought, fair play, I'll give it one more lap, and we'll sort of just run with that. So top speed, however, on the Porsche 911 is immense. So for speed wise, it's excellent. It just handles like an absolute dog, and there's nothing really, and that's on a standard safe setup. So we're taking that in. How are we doing here? That was alright, not too bad. Braking down, and look, we're gone. Totally spun it around. That's the back end of the 911. That's pretty much what happened on the first lap, just a different part of the track. Yeah, awful. So I won't be using that. So we're going to get a very bad lap time out of this. So we come across, I'll just quickly look into the HUD, and it's a 2:12. So it's written off anyway. Unfortunately, we're not going to get a fantastic lap time from that Porsche. So that will be straight to the bottom of the pile. Right, the 2018 Bentley Continental. Very different inside. You'll notice that we've got an LED or an LCD screen for the wing mirror. The steering wheel's fairly the same. This sort of short, like cockpit style steering wheel. Again, you kind of sit quite low. The right-hand drive and the left-hand drive cars, even though I'm from Britain, so obviously we drive on the right, I actually find driving racing cars on the right-hand side actually more confusing, and I find myself actually struggling more with right-hand drive cars. Maybe it's because the Bentley and the way that you sit in the Bentley, you feel quite low down, so you feel that you're having to, look over, up over the bonnet kind of thing. But I generally don't like driving right-hand drive cars for some strange reason in VR mode. Can't even tell you what it is. But so we come onto the straight here. We've got a good exit out of here, so we'll be able to sort of see the top speed of this. We're doing 272 with the 2015 Bentley. Where are we going to get? We're not going to be too far off it. 272 again. So top speed wise of the Bentley is not massive, but overall, as I said with the other Bentley, this handles really nicely. If you want a good solid car to drive, it generally goes where you need it to go, and generally I'm overall very happy with the car. Slightly don't get the apex there, as we're going to come across start finish line 1:59.4. so suddenly we're finding time now in another car. The Bentley's been pushed up towards the top of the times. BMW M6, and we all know again the BMW M6, partly because if you are a follower of my channel, you know that I do like to drive this car. The reason behind that is overall it's got excellent power. It's not loose. It goes where it needs to go. Over understeer, it doesn't really have too much. There's a tiny bit of a fighting with it, but overall it's got a massive amount of grip. So I'm generally quite used to how this car drives. Unfortunately, it's just not the car of choice when it comes to multiplayer. It's just lacking. Don't really know what it's lacking really. I think it lacks braking power compared with others. I've run quite wide there. Just outbrake myself a bit. And I think braking power tends to be the slight issue with the car, and that's why many people tend to use it. So we've only got one BMW M6 to drive. We've got obviously a number of liveries, but there's no sort of variation in the year or anything like that. We're already up to 272, well before the corner. So it looks like we're going to hit 277 on the speed trap there. Tiny get a bit of understeer, but it's not too bad. We sort of make the corner quite nicely. Maybe with this drive, I may have found myself being a bit sort of overconfident because I'd driven this car a lot, so maybe I slightly overdrove. But going to come across the finish line. It's a 2 minutes and 4, so it's starting to bunch up, really. So there you have it. There are all the times. If you want to pause it and take a look, it's relatively close, but at the moment Honda is still leading. Part 3 is to come later.